And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at a trick-taking game. I love card games, so we're going to take a look at a trick-taking game called Chronicle, which is a release by Z-Man Games for 3 to 6 players, in which you're going to be trying to take tricks in order to build up your allies who may or may not be good for scoring points at the end of the round, but you'll know that beforehand. The game plays 3 to 6 players, and is relatively quick, so real quick, why don't we see how the game plays, and what comes in that box, and then we'll come back here and get my final opinions on it. So here you can see the components for Chronicle, and I'm just going to cover this real fast. You have fame tokens, which are victory points, not important for now. You have history cards, which are going to be the goal of each round of the game. And you have the character cards, which are dealt out to the players in order to win tricks. Now, these cards here, you're going to flip over one at the beginning of each round, and it's going to have a goal on it. For example, this one says, whoever gets the most love cards at the end of the round is going to win a fame point. And if there's a tie, it goes to all players. In addition, it tells you who leads the trick. It's whoever has the bishop, which is the 10 of the love suit. So this would be flipped out at the start of a round. After that, you're going to deal out all of the cards, or you're going to discard one card and deal out the rest in a 5-player game, and you're going to start the game. Now, the root of this is in a normal trick-taking style. There are 4 suits in the deck. You have Power, which is blue, Wisdom, which is green, Wild, which is colorless, and then you have Love, which we've already covered a little bit, but I have none of in my hand. So let's pick up some more cards here. You have Love that looks like this. Now, each of these cards is going to have a strength in the top left corner. This one's a 9, but you may have, 10s or wild 8, 1s. And the number is going to be what wins the trick, not necessarily the color. Now, when you play, you're going to lead, and I guess it is going to be the number and the color, but you're going to lead, and anybody who plays after you has to follow suit. However, when you play your card, you're going to not only get the number, but you're going to resolve the effect on the card. So, for example, this one says 9. You choose a card from your hand and add it to your allies. Now, allies are what you're trying to get out in front of you. These are the cards that count for the objective here in order to get the fame points. Anytime you win a trick, you're going to take all of the cards from that trick and place them out in front of you as your allies. And as I said, that's what counts for scoring the victory points. So when you play this, you get to add a card from your hand to your own area to count as a potential victory point scoring card. All of the 9s are going to have that same effect, but the 10s, for example, will say, choose one of your allies and discard it. So in order to play a 10, which is a strong card, you have to discard one of your allies. Now, you may not want that ally, so it may be good. The wilds are automatically going to win the meeting, which is just the trick around the table, and they can be played on any suit. Or 8s, for example, says, choose a player other than yourself, and that player has to discard a card from their hand. So you'll see all of these effects are pretty decent, and some of the lower effects are pretty good as well. Let's see here. 6, take one of your opponent's cards, or allies, and add it to your hand. So you can pick up a card one of your own allies and add it to your hand. So you can pick up a card from the table and add it back to your hand to use it again. So there's all types of different effects on these cards that you have to take into effect when playing the trick. Now, when somebody leads a color, you have to either follow in that same color and resolve the effect on your card, or play a card from your hand face down. And when you do this, it doesn't count as having a strength. It cannot win the trick, but it's basically a way to get rid of a card and potentially give a bad card to another player. Because some of these objectives will be to have the least of things. Some of them will disqualify you from winning if you have certain cards. So you can give that card to that player, maybe, by putting it face down, and they won't know what they're winning. When somebody wins the trick, which means everybody's gone around the table and played a card, the highest number is going to win the trick. That player will take all of the cards and place them face down in front of themselves, or face up in front of themselves, and they will count as their allies at the end of the round. The round will go until everyone has played, and one player does not have any cards left to play on the next trick. At that point, you're going to add all of the cards remaining in your hands, if you have any, to your allies, and whoever qualifies for the victory points is going to score them. At that point, you're going to pick up all of the cards, and you're going to deal another hand, and the first person to 3 fame will win. Now, there's a couple of qualifiers. If you have evil cards, and they say evil on them like this one, you can see right here under the 1, this is an evil card. If you have an evil card, you cannot win the objective unless the objective tells you that you need an evil card. However, if you collect all 4 evil cards, you automatically score 2 fame points for having gotten all of the evil cards. And if you manage to do that, not only do you score 2, but no one else scores anything for the objective. Either way, the first person to get to 3 victory points by best trying to figure out how to take tricks and use the abilities on the cards will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Chronicle. Now, as I said at the beginning, I really love trick-taking games, so I got this one hoping that I would really love it. I mean, you have 4 different suits, and you have all these different abilities, and it sounds like it's going to be a dream. And it's not a bad game. It's really not. But the problem comes in that I think it's almost too much to try and predict. With all of the different cards out there, you know you're going to be playing something in a suit that matches yours, and can only match yours if they're going to get the ability, because everything else is played face down if it doesn't match your suit. But there's still so many abilities out there that I think it's a little bit hard to gauge how things are going to work out. You know, the trick could be ended early before you even get a chance to play, and you've got this great play planned, but it just doesn't come to fruition because somebody else stopped you. Or now that you've led a high card, somebody switched it to be low. And these are all nice, strategic things that other people can be planning, but I think it's really hard to try and account for all of them, which is something I usually look for in a trick-taking game. I'm trying to outsmart the other players by, having a clever combination of card play, but if there's too many things to predict, or too many things so that you can't predict them, it gets a little bit too chaotic for my taste, and I think that's the case here with Chronicle. So all in all, not a bad game, just one with a little more chaos than I usually expect in my trick-takers, and so it doesn't hit the table very often under those circumstances.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.